Hello, 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 and welcome to the next episode of the Shane Walsh podcast. So today's episode is a kind of an opinionated kind of topic that I kind of saw uh, Ben Carpenter kind of talking about in relation to our weight loss drugs, the new fashion trend. It got me thinking about the whole topic, and it's something that kind of like a lot of people, like if you think about it, when you're out and about or you're at a party or you're at a friend's house or something like that, you see an awful lot of things like, oh, that person's on Ozempic. Are they on the shot? That's a real question people are asking each other now when they see each other. Did you get the drug? Well, how did you get the drug? Like, look, if you think about it this way, 2 years ago, these things were diabetes medications. Nobody outside of endocrinologists and the pharma companies that created them had really heard of them. And now they're a topic at Sunday brunch. Now they're a topic with mates. Now they're at red carpets. Now they're a TikTok genre. So today I actually want to pull this apart. Are the actual GLP-1 drugs a genuine medical breakthrough that happens to be trending right now? Or are we just found a new, very, very expensive way to chase the same cost of old thin at all cost trend that kind of comes around and we've been chasing for? If you look at one of the things that kind of comes out recently was skinny talk. Let's look into it, but spoiler alert, it's probably a little bit of both. So what I want to do is I want to give it credit. The weight loss drugs are fantastic. They've saved people's lives. I have clients on the weight loss drugs, and let's give credit where credit's due first, because it's easy to be cynical here and skip this part right away. These drugs, whether it be Ozempic, Wegovy, Manjaro, Zepbound, they work. Not works if you squint at the study work, but genuinely clinically, these change the standard of people's lives and standard of care work. And the quick science around them is the GLP stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. It's a hormone your gut naturally makes after you eat. It slows down your digestion and tells your brain you're full, and helps to regulate that blood sugar. And that's why people say their food noise kind of dissipates. Okay, so these drugs mimic that hormone and basically turn up the volume on a signal your own body already sends, which is your hunger hormone, or your fullness hormone. And that sounds really simple in practice. The effect overall is not really that simple. This is the first class of obesity medication to produce weight loss anywhere to what you've seen from bariatric surgery to without the surgery. And trial numbers show like 15, sometimes 20+% of body weight can be lost. No pill before this has ever really touched that mark at all. And it's not just about the number on the scale. This is the part that people skip past. There's real documented benefit for cardiovascular risk, for sleep apnea, for joint pain, for fatty liver disease. And there's emerging research showing into addiction pathways. And this didn't even start as a vanity drug. It came out as diabetes care. That's where First Crow was created for. I don't think people 50 years ago from now will lump this in with sketchy diet pills of the past. This is closer to that statin moment, but for obesity. And people have these things against statin. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but it is that kind of statin moment for kind of like managing other measures of progress and other health markers as well. So who are these weight loss drugs for? Okay, because I guarantee it's not the person. They're not meant to be for the person who's going on holidays or wants to fit into jeans. Okay, clinically they are approved for people with type 2 diabetes, or people who are suffering with obesity, which essentially means a BMI over 30. Okay, or people who are overweight with the related condition like high blood pressure or cholesterol. And there's a real defined kind of population here, patient population and client it's meant to be for. And it comes with actual medical supervision, monitoring, nutritional support, the whole thing. It's not meant to be a solo act. Okay. But it's really, really important that we look at who's taking it right now. Demand has kind of gone through the roof, way past what its intended population has been. You've got people who are, by any clinical measure, not the target patient, getting a prescription after filling out a 5-minute questionnaire on a telehealth site. So I could actually go onto social media, onto the internet right now, and go on to a pharmacy and kind of say, I want the weight loss drug. I could lie on my application, or I could send a picture of my toes or someone else's toes standing on a weighing scales and get the weight loss drug, even though I'm not the person that it's meant to be for. And that's exactly where this fashion trend framing starts to make sense. So when access to that frictionless, the line between treating a medical condition and buying a lifestyle product gets really, really blurred very, very fast. Are people abusing them? I want us to, like, let's use the word people are actually using out there. Abuse. Is that fair? I would say abuse is probably the wrong word, and misuse is probably the bigger way. Abuse is more of the addiction sense, where these drugs aren't producing a high. But misuse, I'd probably put it in the bracket of misuse. Absolutely. There's a few distinct ways. One, people with no real medical need for weight loss using it purely to get thin faster, who are maybe already at a healthier weight, they're using them. Some people are using them to go on holidays and get ready for fitting into a pair of jeans, probably misusing them. And two, people self-administrating them without any medical supervision, buying them from a car boot sale or black market or discounted pharmacies, or send pictures of other people's toes into it, which I've heard people do. Overseas sellers where you're kind of getting them from a different resource because you can't get them here because they're more expensive in Ireland because the brand name version is too expensive or hard to get. They are all stories and stuff I've heard about the weight loss drugs. And the third one or the fourth one is realistically the people cycling on and off with ways that aren't medically guided, which carries real risk, because ultimately when you stop using, the hunger and the food noise will generally come back and the weight gain will come back quite significantly for an individual. And then there's the eating disorder overlap. And this is the bit that which is quite scary. And it doesn't get talked about enough and like clinicians have flagged real concern here that for someone with a history of disordered eating, which is binge eating, which is on plan or off plan, which is emotional eating, stress eating, starting a diet every single morning, that's disordered eating. Then there's eating disorder, which will be like your bulimia nervosa, anorexia nervosa, and then you've got orthorexia, which is being afraid of ingredients in food, which is the new one that's kind of coming to the fore in the last while. And for someone with a history of eating disorders or disordered eating, a drug that essentially deletes appetite can be really, really dangerous rather than actually helpful. And it can quietly become a tool for extreme restriction. And just dressed up as my doctor prescribed it, or worse, an influencer told me to do it. So the honest takeaway is the drug itself isn't the problem. The problem is how loosely it is being distributed to people and who ends up holding the prescription, or some people are even getting other people to get it for them. Excellent medication and excellent medicine for the right patient under supervision genuinely is great. Genuinely risky for the wrong patient, unsupervised, is not great. So why have we all of a sudden gone from nothing good tastes as skinny feels to getting strong, to being strong, to body confidence and body acceptance and body positivity, to the new movement back in with why is skinny back in vogue? Because I remember in 2020, body positivity during COVID was the dominant cultural phenomenon that was out there. It was in every conversation that I had with people. And every brand ran a plus size campaign. And not just a few years later, we're looking to back to think pieces like Heroin Chic 2.0 is essentially what we're looking towards. That is like whiplash. It's kind of just brought us back with a bang to where we probably didn't really want us to go. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this lines up exactly with when these drugs have become famous. The cultural pattern that's happened is cultural body ideals have always tracked with what's difficult to achieve, because scarcity signals status. So in the 90s, Heroin Chic was pretty reaction to the buff gym 1980s look. Thin became the new hard to get thing. Then the body positivity went mainstream partly because thinness itself became more attainable and more commodified. Clothes got smaller, everything got smaller. So the culture moved its status marker somewhere else for a while. And then now a new expensive, hard to access drug shows up, and that can produce drastic thinness test and thinness fast quite quickly. And suddenly thin is this scarce, desirable fashion accessory that we kind of look towards, because it visibly signals I have money, I have access, I have a concierge doctor on demand. It's less a moral judgment about bodies and more about what currently functions as a status symbol, which if we think about it honestly, might be more depressing than if it were simply thin as in, because it means the healthy framing is mostly cover. It's a fad. It's kind of like a facade putting up. At a cultural level, this was never really about the health. It's about scarcity and status. Wearing health as a costume. So is it fashion? I'd put it this way: the drug itself is medicine, and that's essentially what it's for. It was created for those with pre-diabetes, cholesterol, blood pressure. But the way we're currently using it, talking about it, flexing about it online, looking at people who have lost weight and said, oh, they must be on it. So we're judging people with it as well. That part is absolutely fashion. Two different things happening with the same syringe is essentially what's happening. So where does that leave us as a kind of like a society? In my opinion, it's genuinely groundbreaking medicine. But for the people it's actually meant for, it's groundbreaking. But genuinely concerning is because it's a health accessory. It's something you carry in your bag or your purse now, and it's not meant to be for a lot of the people who are meant to be taking it, in my opinion. Doesn't mean it's right, and I'm not sitting here saying who should or who shouldn't take it, but it's causing a culture that's using health as a cover for the same whole thinness status game. If we're thin, we are better, we are in vogue. And if you're considering taking one of these drugs, the takeaway is boring but true. Talk to a doctor, not a website questionnaire, and figure out, are you the person that needs them? Who was it built for? And if you're just doom scrolling before and after photos at 1 a.m. in the morning, maybe ask yourself what you're actually chasing here. So, is it a fashion accessory? I would say it's leaning towards that side of things, and it's kind of scary for where we're at. I really do hope you've learned something from this episode. It's my opinion. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but I hope you've learned something from it today. And I thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. If you have any queries or questions, don't be afraid to DM me.